Good morning, afternoon, and evening, people. What is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the Pit Stop Lounge. This is episode number 5, and look who's back. Malcolm is back. How are you, dude?
I am back. Hey guys, hope everyone is well. Had to sit out last 2 episodes as I was a bit busy and went a day to Sicily with the fam last Saturday. Was it last Saturday? Yeah, last Saturday. And of course, unfortunately, I missed the first race of the season as well
Oh,
with qualifying. It is what it is, but thankfully, it seems as if I didn't really miss much. So
yeah.
at least that turned out to be good.
You've missed
Thankfully,
absolutely
but
nothing because it was a boring race.
Thank God that I didn't miss a thing. But yesterday, of course, I saw my first race of the season actually in Jeddah. It was a pretty good race, but we'll talk about it later. But of course, happy to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back as well, man. Missed you for these last 2 episodes. Just had to see them out myself, but it's great to have you back. And just as Malcolm said, guys, today we will be reviewing the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix that took place this weekend. But before we get into that, as always, guys, follow, share on our Facebook and Instagram accounts. Get those numbers up. We need them right now, and also on YouTube as well. Forgot to mention that as well. Same procedure as Facebook and Instagram. And for the Spotify listeners, follow and hit us up with a rating. It would mean the word to us to hit us to get those ratings up and running as well. All right, guys,
Salute.
let's get to this episode. It's going to be a pretty interesting episode as well, guys, because we're not only going to be, like we said before, we're going to be reviewing the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix that took place this weekend, but we're also going to be talking about the off-track drama that's taking place behind the scenes, in particular with Red Bull. There's a lot of shit going on right now with that team at the moment, but we'll get into that very, very later on the episode. So let's get into it today. Let's get into it where we'll start with the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now, guys, back to back, taking place just after the Bahrain Grand Prix, back to back weekends, of course. Taking place again on a Saturday, just like the Bahrain Grand Prix, reasons being because of Ramadan. But this will be right now the last Grand Prix taking place on a Saturday. The next one will take place as usual on Sunday, as it always is. And we all hoped that this would have been an improvement over Bahrain. Bahrain was, in all honesty, a snooze fest. It was more of the same with regards to the driver's standings and how the race just panned out. And listen, we really hoped that Jeddah could get us some improvements going on. But there's good news and bad news. The good news is it was better than the last race, but the bad news is same old, same old. The same drivers came out on
Exactly.
top. What do you think, man?
Same thoughts, bro. Same thoughts. First of all, again, I'm gonna say it again. Thank God I missed the first race of the season as I was abroad. The second race of the season, Jeddah, I saw it. Of course, expected that Max Verstappen wins and dominates the race. But there were some great battles going on. There were some great battles. I don't know if we're going to talk about them now.
We'll talk about those later on in the episode. But yeah,
No problem, no problem.
those middle
But it
battles
it
really
wasn't the best. It wasn't the best of races, but it was alright. It was okay. At least I watched it throughout. I watched the whole
Yeah.
race from lap 1 to lap 50. So
Yeah, exactly. It was far from boring, guys. But so let's get straight into each round. We're gonna start with practice. Not much to say regarding practice. When it comes to the first practice, it was the same old. Verstappen taking first place alongside Fernando Alonso in second place. The start of a very, very strong weekend for him, and he needed that after what was a bit of a slightly underwhelming Bahrain Grand Prix for him, which was really needed. Followed by Sergio Perez in third, and George Russell in fourth, and Leclerc fifth. Those were the top 5 in free practice one. Bro, nothing much to add here. Not much of interest going on here. What do you think?
same. To be honest, I don't really care much about practice. Practice really, when the drivers go out for practice, is to study the track, try out different strategies,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
that. In reality,
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
practice is. It's not about what the fastest time you can put in. It's all about race strategy, tire strategies, getting to understand the track that you're in. That's what practice is
Exactly.
all about,
Tire
really.
management is also important as well, guys.
Of course,
So
that's
we
always.
don't. To be honest with you, we don't really take much notice of practice because that's all about, as Malcolm said, about managing the car and getting to know the track, specifically also for the younger drivers as well who never raced in the circuit, which in this case we don't have any.
Practice. Sorry, practice is
No, no.
basically for for those data geeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Practically, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
exactly,
It's for
exactly.
it's for those data geeks. It's
Yeah, I
for the
fully
James
agree with you, man.
Vowels.
Not the James
It's for the
Vowels.
James Vowels of the. No. I like James Vowels, but he's a data geek.
Yeah, he is. He is. He loves the sport. To be honest, he's very analytic
Of
into some
course,
sort of
no
data.
doubt. I love
But
hearing him talk. I do love hearing him talk.
yeah, always. It's always
But we're
fascinating
going
to
out
see
of
him talk.
context.
Yeah.
But we're going
Let's
out
just
of
obviously go
context.
to the second practice. So, second practice, Alonso getting the fastest time, a continuation of his very strong weekend, setting at 1 minute and 28.827 seconds, followed by George Russell in second. Max gets third, Leclerc fourth, Perez fifth. Stroll getting a strong sixth for Aston Martin, so a pretty positive start for Aston Martin there. And Carlos Sainz finishing seventh, Hamilton eighth, Gasly ninth, and Piastri 10th. Now for Carlos Sainz, came with a cost because at the end of free practice 2, he obviously complained during the radio that he was very sick, and that led to him walking out of the entire weekend as well, because it was reported the next day that he was diagnosed with appendicitis, basically an issue located in the appendix, and was had to undergo surgery. So it was very concerning for him. Wishing him, obviously, from on behalf of this podcast, guys, wishing Carlos a speedy recovery. We knew,
And
obviously.
thankfully, he got a smooth operation.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the first piece of that was like the first words he spoke.
Exactly.
In his
It was a
statement.
smooth operation. How fitting.
No, it was a very smooth operation for him.
Thankfully.
Surgery was some time
Bit of time.
a bit of time to get into 100%, and getting into his place, replacing him, was 18-year-old Oliver Bearman. Now, if you don't know who this guy was before this weekend, he is not only Ferrari's test driver, but he also is a Formula 2 driver, currently racing for
Prima
Racing
Racing.
Formula 2, and he basically had to just fill in straight away. Had to step in for one practice session, and then straight to qualifying. So, bro, talk about a baptism of fire in every way possible. What do you have you ever watched this guy before? Since obviously he
I
was
have never
Ferrari?
watched him, but I have most certainly heard of him as he drives in Formula 2 with Prima Racing. Prima Racing is basically Ferrari's mini driver academy.
Oh.
Same with, for example, BWT. There's a team BW team in Formula 2, which is basically the Alpine driver academy. You know? Same as Yuki Tsunoda,
Exactly.
how Yuki Tsunoda used to drive with the Red Bull. He came from the Red Bull driver.
Yes.
But Oliver never saw him, but I have most certainly heard of him. Now, unfortunately, what happened to Carlos Sainz, of course, with his appendix, wishing him a speedy recovery. So Oliver Bearman straight into it. How much time did they have? About an hour of practice?
Yeah, only 1 hour of practice, and then it's qualifying straight away.
And then straight up into qualifying. And you know what? With the little he could do, he did the most of it. He did the absolute most of it. So Oliver Bearman, my friend, take a bow.
Yeah, take a bow.
Easily take a bow.
Take a bow as well. I mean, we're gonna get into the race very soon, guys. But I mean, listen, new kid on the block. I mean, Ferrari must have a lot of confidence with this kid to just bring him out, because Ferrari could have literally just literally gone solo with just Leclerc. But listen, to just get him on to get an 18-year-old kid on the grid. They must have seen a lot of confidence with this kid, and we're going to free practice 3. You wanted to mention?
No, continue.
Oh, okay, no problems. And we get into third practice. I mean, 10th place for him was the most he could do. I mean, we weren't expecting this kid fresh in the F1 scene, making his full debut. You know, getting into that top 5 category like his teammate, for example. So, 10th place. Is the highest he could manage for a young Ollie. And regarding how practice went, no surprises again. Verstappen fastest, Leclerc second, and Perez third. Red Bull having another strong practice, unlike last week. George Russell fourth, Lando getting a fifth, Aston Martin with a sixth and seventh, Piastri eighth, Lewis ninth, and Ollie getting a 10th place finish. Anything to add on this with regarding practice, bro? No surprises.
Not at all. Nothing to add.
Right now. So, we now get to qualifying, and again, with regards to qualifying, no big surprise as well with regards to the first qualifying. I mean, it's pretty much, when it came to the first qualifying round, pretty much the same group of drivers got knocked out. The same group of drivers that got knocked out in Bahrain, they were knocked out again in Jeddah. But the only difference is different with a different format. Zhou Guanyu finished dead last. Now, for Zhou Guanyu, what happened was he crashed in FP3, completely destroyed the car in the third free practice, and that caused the team to literally work their socks off to get the car fixed in time. And listen, fair play to them, because they managed to get the car fixed on time. But for Zhou, it was a little bit too late for him. He couldn't. He wasn't. He couldn't. He didn't.
He couldn't make it to the start. He couldn't make it to the start finish straight. As soon as he was getting to the start finish straight, the time stopped. The clock stopped.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, he ran out of time.
He ran out of time, basically. But listen, fair play to the team, because it's, difficult circumstances to get a car fully fixed from free practice 3 to qualifying is a massive task for the team, and it's. Fair play to them. Give them give them a bit of a shout out from both of us as well. But listen, 20th place for them, not a big surprise when it comes to Zhou Guanyu. Logan Sargent, 19th, another poor session for him. Getting knocked out in Q1 and getting knocked out again in the same round of qualifying for the second round. That's not the way to get things going for your second season in Formula 1. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. Listen, I think this is the first time in a pretty long time that there's no rookies in Formula 1.
No.
There isn't no rookie. So Logan Sargent,
but...
along with Oscar Piastri, of course, they're in a different league. But Oliver Bearman was a sub, so I'm not really going to count him, really. I'm not really going to count Oliver Bearman.
No.
Logan Sargent, he's no longer a rookie. He needs to step up. He needs to up the pace a bit. Yes, it's a Williams, not expecting much, but you look across, you have Alex Albon, who is at least getting Q2 and sometimes into Q3. Yes, we're just 2 races in, but he needs to up the pace a bit. He needs to up the pace a bit. Listen, he's no longer a rookie, Logan Sargent.
If he does, if continues at this rate, he's going to be like Latifi, the American Latifi is going to be basically. But let's hope he does. Let's hope he doesn't go along in that path as well. Alpine 18th and 17th, just like Bahrain, same positions for them. What's going wrong with what is going on with Alpine this season, bro? I
have no idea, man. I have no idea. I wish I could tell you, but I have no idea regarding Alpine.
They're getting wrong, man.
Is it because of so many changes in the back room? Is it because there's no clear plan in the team? I don't know. I wish I could tell you, bro, but I
listen,
don't know.
the vibes I'm getting with Alpine. They're similar to McLaren, but as I said in the previous episode, the difference is they have a shit car and they have the instability issues as well. That's like a domino effect for them. And
exactly.
Listen, earlier in the week they had their technical team. They had a complete restructure with the technical team. So this is not going to be a quick fix for Alpine. I'll give them a couple of more races to maybe get to maybe see some progress with them. But for now, terrible. Absolutely terrible. That Ocon and Gasly, that is not where they want to be in those positions.
Exactly. No driver wants to be there. No driver wants to be there. Nobody wants to be in Formula 1 to finish in 20th, 19th, 18th. Exactly. Nobody wants that. So, and especially Gasly, who joined Alpine last season from AlphaTauri. The project was good. He liked the project, at least that's what he said. But the project ain't going so well at the moment. Not at all.
No, disaster.
Far, a trillion miles away from the Renault we know.
Yeah, of course. We're gonna get to Alpine in the race as well, guys, because unsurprising, they had yet another poor race as well. And Valtteri Bottas completed the Q1 eliminators again. With Sauber, we can't really go a bit too harsh on them. We said that this was going to be a transitional season for them. And so far we've been proven right.
At this point, Sauber, they can't wait for 2026.
Yeah, as well.
They can't wait for 2026. They can't wait for
Yes,
2026.
I agree.
These next 2 years, they're practically filler years to them.
Yes, I agree, 100%. The only thing they have going for is delivery. I mean, I mean,
Yeah,
at least
they
it
got
looks
these.
nice. At least
Yeah,
it
at
looks
least they
nice.
got a decent, nice livery. Yeah, love the green,
So,
especially in the night.
yeah,
Especially in the
shines.
night, it's lit. It
Excuse me.
does look fire.
Yeah, straight up, straight up. All right, so those were the unlucky. Those were the losers of the first round of qualifying. Which then we now go to Q2, and Haas again, second time running, made it out of going straight into Q2. I mean, what, bro? I mean, listen. We've seen. I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump into conclusions very, very quickly. But so far, I'm surprised about Haas. I mean,
Looks like that new team principal paying off. Ayao Kamatsu
Yeah.
doing his thing.
yes.
So shout out to Ayao Kamatsu. He's doing his thing at the moment.
Obviously, Haas, Hulkenberg getting a 15th place. Getting a 15th place.
DNF actually.
I forgot actually. No. Yeah,
It's a
because in
DNF.
Q2 he actually had an issue with his car. He slowed down, and that temporarily caused a red flag in the session, the first of the season.
And it was straight after Magnussen was giving him the toe on the start-finish straight.
Yes, correct.
He was giving him a toe because the idea was good. You could see where they
Yes.
were going. He went to corner 1, corner 2, and as soon as he was approaching the third corner, car went shut.
Yes, straight away.
Car
I mean,
went-
that definitely is an issue. That definitely is an issue with the car as well. But listen, I mean, they should be happy, Haas, because for a team that was widely predicted that they were going to be at the back of the grid to get into Q2 for the second time running, impressive stuff for them. Obviously,
Very.
Hulkenberg, unlucky for him again. I mean,
Yeah.
he has a history of getting a bit cursed in the sport. So
Yeah.
but listen, I think 15th for him it was the best he could manage.
He's still waiting for the podium, Hulkenberg, man.
Magnussen getting 13th again, best he could manage. With that getting a Ricardo behind him in 14th. Listen, I'm gonna give my thoughts on Ricardo on the race very, very soon, but no, not a great weekend for him.
Not really setting the standard at the moment, Danny Rick.
No.
Liam Lawson, who last season was a substitute to him after Danny Rick broke his hand, unfortunately. Liam Lawson, he was looking good, and he was primed to take that seat off Danny Rick.
Yeah, you're basically repeating what I said in the first episode as well. I mean, listen, I know it's 2 races in, but obviously there are still plenty of races for Daniel to really get things going. But so far, 14th doesn't bode well for him. Alex Albon, 12th, decent result for him,
Very
considering the car he's driving, and Oliver Bearman getting an 11th place finish, which again, bro, the best he could manage.
Absolutely.
Considering the circumstances. So
not in a million years did I expect him to get into Q3. He was very close to getting to Q3, but absolutely no issues with Oli Bearman. I didn't expect anything from him. I didn't expect nothing from him the whole weekend.
Yes, correct.
I was like, just do your thing, have fun, enjoy it.
Do the best. Give it your best shot, basically.
Exactly.
Give it your best
I didn't
shot.
expect a single thing. So for him to get P11,
very
good.
Agree
Very
with
good
that.
indeed.
And bringing us to Q3, which saw the inevitable. I mean, no surprises again, bro. I mean, Verstappen, pole position, 120 without one. I mean, a super lap for him, 120.
By 3/10, man. By 3/10.
He's unstoppable, bro. I mean, we're gonna get to the race as well, but he is just on a different kind of level than no other driver is literally coming close to his talent. I mean, both in qualifying and even in the race, which we're gonna talk about soon.
Max Verstappen and that Red Bull is basically like a transformer. Like from a car into a person, from a person into a car. When you become one with the car, that's basically Max Verstappen and that Red Bull car. That's how it basically is.
Yeah.
That Red Bull car is on steroids, man.
Absolute
But-
steroids, I would say. I would add. Yeah, in run, Leclerc getting a second place, getting the runners-up position with a 127.791. A strong session for Leclerc. I mean,
Very good. Very
expected a third place, but second for him, knocking out obviously Checo for second. I mean, this isn't surprising for Leclerc because he has showed this season after season, basically in qualifying. The man's a monster.
In a single lap, Charles Leclerc, for me, in a single lap, he's the fastest on the grid.
Ford
If you
doesn't show it
if
in
you
the
put
races.
everyone in an equal car, Leclerc is the fastest on a single lap. For me, he's the fastest.
The problem is he doesn't show it in the races. I mean, why doesn't he show it in the races and
Yes.
only in qualifying? I mean, obviously he has Verstappen on his
Because
ass.
I
basically.
believe it's because of the car. I believe
Yeah.
it's because of the car.
Okay.
It's overall, it's good for a lap. It's very fast in a lap, but over a period of a race, it starts to you have tire degradation, you have fuel management. So ERS, there's a lot of factors going on.
Yes. Agree.
That's what I reckon.
No, I agree with you on that as well.
I don't know. I know mechanic. I know mechanic.
No, same here. No, I may know expert as well on mechanics as well. Leclerc getting second, Sergio Perez third, a decent result for him. Fernando Alonso fourth, continue his strong weekend. I mean, fourth place again.
Fernando Alonso cheeky, by the way. I know.
Oh yeah.
In Q3, did you see what he would try to do? Hamilton went to the final corner. Alonso was there. As soon as Hamilton turned into the final corner, Alonso went right after Hamilton, who Hamilton was finishing his lap, so he could get the toe of Hamilton.
Oh, how cheeky, man.
He's so cheeky, man. I love that.
Listen,
I love
mean,
that. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, but that was very cheeky of him.
But listen,
hey,
man,
he ain't an old fox for nothing.
Yeah, but listen, his longevity is unbelievable, man. I mean, he's in his 40s and he still has it, man. I mean,
I think he's better than ever. I reckon he's better than ever.
Listen, his move to Aston Martin was the right decision for his career. I mean, we thought it wasn't the right decision, but it turned out it was 100% with how things are turning out at Alpine.
Imagine if Alonso's still with Alpine, considering how Alpine are.
He would retire.
He would be way worse than he was with McLaren. His days with McLaren.
Absolutely.
At least it would be a fun watch.
Listen, listen, I'm going a bit out of topic for this part as well, but I am so upset that he didn't turn out the way it didn't turn out the way he could have hoped for McLaren, because he came at the wrong time. Except obviously his first season.
Yeah. And as soon as McLaren went to McLaren Honda to relive the glory years. Yeah, not quite.
Absolutely.
Not quite.
But listen. Let's get back to obviously the qualifying. Fourth place for Alonso, very strong result for him. And speaking of obviously for McLaren, followed by Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris in fifth and sixth. Now listen, decent result for decent qualifying for us, but to be honest, I am a little bit pissed off that Alonso was ahead of us, because I was expecting, like, for example, maybe Oscar or Lando getting into that fourth place, or maybe fighting for a podium. But listen, fifth and sixth, nothing really to argue about. My dad was super pissed off, by the way, because he really wanted my team to get into those podium finishes. But listen, I mean, Red Bull and Ferrari have the edge over us, and you could say one Aston Martin, because the other, not so much. But I mean, it is the best we could have hoped for, to be honest. Fifth and sixth. What do you think?
I agree. Red Bull, nobody can compete with them. Second best team is Ferrari. We're the second best team on the grid. And listen, it's the best we could hope for at the moment, because nobody can compete with Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, but nobody can compete with Red Bull.
Yeah.
Nobody can
100%.
compete. But Ferrari, yes, they are the second best team, but I believe come around what month are we in? March. Around
March.
May, June, when we hit that European section
Yeah.
of tracks, I think it's gonna be a bit like this in terms of track performance between the cars.
Yeah.
I mean, Ferrari may have the edge on McLaren may have the edge on Ferrari, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still very.
But of course, nobody can touch Red Bull.
No, for now, no. I mean, for now, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, 7th and 8th, Russell and Hamilton, Mercedes, poor for their standards. We'll talk more about them in the race, about Mercedes, because I have a couple of things to say about that team. Yuki Tsunoda, 9th. So far, so good for Yuki. I mean, he's outperforming Danny Rick, absolutely.
Well,
and to get into Q3, a stepping stone for him.
Very nice.
So far, so good for him. I mean,
I guess he's justifying the words he said on Danny Rick in the first race.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, as we mentioned before, Lance Stroll finishing up the top 10. No surprises again.
And
I
that's
think,
basically qualifying done and dusted.
yeah, basically. And we'll get to the race. And as we've mentioned, obviously early on, guys. Overall as a race, we hoped that it would have been a bit of an improvement over Bahrain.
At least.
We all knew how Bahrain was a terrible, terrible race. I mean, bro, I mean, I'm gonna basically repeat what I said. You didn't miss a single fucking thing about that race.
Thank
And
God.
thank God you
Thank
did.
God. Thank
Because
goodness.
because
Hey, I watched the highlights. And I was about to fall asleep on the highlights.
I mean, you can't say the same about me because I had to suffer through that entire race, the 90 minutes basically. Oh my days, bro. I mean, poor race, man. Poor race to watch. And listen, although the race was an improvement over last Bahrain, it still was alarming to watch, man. I mean, you pretty much know where we're gonna end up with this, guys. I mean, it was another Red Bull masterclass from start to finish, pretty much. But against the race now, before the lights even went out, we actually got our first retirement of the season, and that was
Pierre
drum
Gasly.
roll, please. Pierre Gasly basically reported to the team that in the warm-up round he had an issue with his engine, so that basically was race over.
Gearbox.
The gearbox. And he basically had a gearbox issue with his car, and basically his race was over before it even started. And listen, I mean, we've mentioned Alpine before. I mean, we've mentioned it last week in my predictions as well, and I'm gonna mention it again. What a fucking shit start to the season they've had. I mean, we all knew
Very
that Alpine
poor.
were going
Very,
to have
very
a really
poor.
We all knew Alpine were going to have a poor season, but not this bad. I mean, it's pretty much on par with Sauber for the worst.
Shit livery, shit
and
car.
That sums it up for me.
Shit livery, shit
Yeah.
car. Match made in heaven.
Yeah, it is, and that's
what they are.
I think
It's very sad.
they're the
It's very
only
sad
team
because
with Renault
actually,
engine, right?
I like Pierre Gasly. I really do like Pierre Gasly. Tell me again.
And even Ocon as well. Yeah, but,
Tell me again, Jan.
But specifically Gasly. Continue obviously with Gasly because
I do like Gasly and I like Ocon as well, and they deserve a better car. But Alpine, they're horrendous at the moment, man. They're absolutely horrific.
They're at a really bad state at the moment, Alpine. And for Gasly to just have basically a gearbox issue before the start of the race
On the formation lap.
On the formation
lap. He was going back to the grid for the race start.
Yeah. So that was race over for him. And we look at the start.
Crazy.
Pretty much
Absolutely
as
crazy.
expected. Verstappen and Leclerc battling out together. Lando Norris had a jump start. And he was very, very lucky that he didn't receive a penalty. And listen, I'm a little bit confused because I thought that Lando was gonna get a penalty for the jumps. I mean, we've in previous seasons where we saw instances of jump starts, the drivers got punished basically, and I was a bit surprised that Lando didn't got.
I think the reason that he didn't get a penalty for that jump start is because he did jump start, but he stopped immediately. And then as soon as the lights went off, then he went. If he at least moved 2 feet away more, I think then he would have gotten a penalty. But since he stopped immediately, and then as soon as the lights went off, then he went, I think that's the reason why he didn't get a penalty.
And listen, for a driver like Lando, I was a little bit disappointed with him because listen, this is now his 6th or 7th season. 7th season
already. Wow.
With McLaren, so you can't really. Wow, time flies, eh?
Wow.
You really can't make those type of mistakes for him. I mean, if it was a rookie, I would give him the benefit of the doubt. But listen, I mean,
I think that depends more on itching to go.
Yeah,
exactly. The itch to go, like let's go.
He got away with it.
Everyone makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes.
Of course, everyone makes mistakes. But listen, he got away with it. If this happens again, if this scenario happens again, he gets a penalty, 100% about that.
Yeah.
So obviously the start panned out exactly how everyone would expect it to be. But then a couple of laps later, it was lap 9, I believe. Lap 9. I think it was lap 9. Yeah.
Around
Lance.
that. Lap 7 or lap 8? Lap
It
9?
was somewhere in those regions, yeah. Lance Stroll hit the wall and basically initiated the first safety car of the season. And listen, I think we all, we all predicted that there was going to be a safety car in this race. I mean, we all know that the circuit is very, very.
It's notorious for a
It's
safety car.
notorious, yeah. And
Pretty notorious.
bro, I think I mean we can get straight to we can get straight to this. I think he's your loser of the day, right?
Yep.
Lance Stroll.
Yep. He crashed in the same corner as he did in practice.
Oh,
Did he?
yeah.
Did he crash in the same corner?
Absolutely.
I believe so. Did he
Yes,
crash
yes,
in the
yes.
same corner? He
Yes,
crashed in
yes.
the same corner and didn't even make 10 laps. So he did the same mistake twice on a weekend. Same corner. To me, that's the loser of the day. For me.
And listen, it doesn't bode well when your teammate
much-
is
not
literally
much more to add on
he has
that.
outperformed you all weekend. And sorry.
As well.
Oh,
As well.
listen,
Well.
it doesn't bode well when your teammate has literally outperformed you all weekend. So for Lance Stroll,
Exactly.
a poor weekend for him, and that also led to the funniest for me, the clown of the day, the funniest moment of the entire race. Because on the radio he was saying, "Can you get the car back to the wall?" And his response was, "No, I've hit the fucking wall."
No, I'm in a fucking wall.
I mean, no fucking.
Were they watching? Were they watching? What were they watching?
I mean,
That's
literally,
crazy, bro.
I mean,
That's
literally,
crazy.
Bro just hit the wall and wrecked his car basically. So how can you get the car?
And
back?
they
How
were
can you
telling him if
literally-
he could get it back. I thought it was gonna be a red flag. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be a red flag.
It was a red flag. It was a red flag.
No,
indeed.
safety
Of course.
car, safety
It was,
car.
It was safety car. Safety car. Yeah, correct.
No, safety car.
No. And listen, for me, I kind of agree with you on the fact that it should have been a red flag because the location of where he crashed, it was quite
least.
dangerous. But
yeah.
at least on the bright side, they got the car out quite quickly, basically. And that
Exactly.
led to a plethora of pit stops, a bit of chaos as well in the pit lane because a lot of unsafe releases, Checo being one of them and Magnussen being the other. And that one, and basically the two end up getting time penalties.
5 seconds. Perez got 5 seconds.
And Magnussen got 10.
Magnussen got
The
10
first
seconds.
of many penalties, by the way, for Magnussen. And
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah. Well,
almost the entire grid,
how much time did he accumulate? About 20
sorry.
seconds? How
More
many
than 20
seconds did
seconds,
Magnussen
definitely.
get? About 20 seconds?
Yeah, 20 seconds, more than 20 seconds, definitely, because that's not just the first penalty he received during the race. But anyways,
No, of course.
pretty much the whole grid pitted, with the exception of Lando, Hamilton. Hulkenberg, and I believe even Zhou Guanyu as well didn't make a pit stop. And for Lando, it did cost him a bit because Piastri ended up making a pit stop, but for Lando, he didn't, and it costed him a bit during the race. What do you think, bro?
Listen, I don't know what strategy. Maybe they were trying to go the long game with Norris, Hamilton, especially Norris and Hamilton. I think they were trying to go for the long game. But
Yeah.
I still don't understand why they didn't pit. When they put on the drivers in front of them put on fresher tires on the hards, which went the whole
distance.
race distance, and then they basically got compromised.
Yeah.
And making up track position in Jeddah is not as easy as it seems. For
No,
example,
it
you
isn't.
saw with Piastri, he spent about how many laps? Almost the whole race, Piastri trying to get past Hamilton, and he
Yeah.
was finding it difficult.
And speaking of that, obviously when the safety car, I mean, and that's pretty much where the race that's pretty much where the race we get obviously to the Piastri one very very soon. Malik, talk about that, but
Yeah.
obviously when we were back to racing. Lando made a decent start. He tried for at least a couple of laps getting pulling away from Max. But listen, I mean,
Maybe because it was too early for them to pit. Probably because it was too early, but it was still a free pit stop. You have to take a free pit stop.
Yeah. Listen, I think that costed Lando a bit because it
was a free pit stop, bro. It was a free pit stop. You could change on the hards and one pit stop, you're done. It was free.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
during
think
that
it was a missed
moment,
opportunity for Norris and Hamilton,
and
in my
yes,
opinion.
yeah, I agree. And during that moment, Lando was still under investigation for his jump start. But then,
Yes.
obviously, he was cleared. There was no further action regarding his
Yep.
pit stop.
Yep.
But the good news stopped there for Lando because a couple of laps later, Max basically he gained
Blitzed.
up on him and absolutely drank. He
He
absolutely
blitzed.
destroyed him, blitzed him past the straight,
He put
and that
he
and
put
that
him in a
was
spliff.
yeah. He was put on a spliff, yeah, basically. Basically, yeah, correct. Basically, Max blitzed past Lando, and that was pretty much race over because
All she wrote.
Max was
That
was
was all
once
she wrote.
again unfaced for that race. Yeah, exactly. And Max basically
Same
pulled
thing.
away. It wasn't like the 22-second gap we saw last race, but he was untroubled for the entire race. I mean, Lando then he lost a bit more pace. Perez getting past him, no surprises again. That Red Bull on a different league, it's not just better than the McLaren, it's just better than the whole grid. And we're gonna get to Red Bull a bit later on as well. But the race was mostly focused on the middle pack, of the grid, basically on the in that top in that top between the second and not the second, no, in that fourth, fifth place regions in the mid place grid as well. Hamilton was just like Lando. He didn't pitted, but he pulled off a defensive masterclass with Oscar Piastri because
Absolutely.
he held
Love that
and
battle.
I was very annoyed, by the way, about that because he basically
course.
held him off for more than 50% of the race, definitely.
Just like I mentioned, Hamilton and Mercedes might have thought that it would have been too early for him to pit as he was on the mediums, and the mediums you can go a bit of distance. Not like the softs, but it was still a mistake for me that they didn't pit both Hamilton and Lando Norris because it was essentially a free pit stop. But he defended with all he could. He had enough pace around the track for Hamilton to defend against Piastri. And on the start-finish straight, as Piastri was getting DRS, Hamilton was deploying ERS for him to get some pace on the start-finish straight. And it was enough for him. It was enough for him to defend from Piastri and not allow Piastri to make a move either on the inside or the outside of turn one.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. But there was also a bit of a similar scenario was with the Hasses with Kevin Magnussen. Now Kevin Magnussen, his race, to be fair, it was over because he not only received a 10-second penalty for basically having an unsafe release, but then he also had another 20-second penalty for I believe it was gaining an advantage on the track.
I don't really remember that one, to be honest. I don't really remember that one.
It was something on those scenarios as well. But listen, Magnussen took one for the team for Haas because
basically
took one for the team. Because he was literally defending the...
that was a DRS train going on.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a DRS train going on, so...
And he held them off on the track. And yeah, I mean, the race, there wasn't much action going on besides those two. Besides those two scenarios as well. And in the end, it was another 1-2 for Red Bull. And...
P3 for Leclerc, best he could hope for.
Sorry. Yeah, and listen, we'll get to now. We're obviously going to talk about we're going to give our rankings for our winner, for our driver of the day, our losers and stuff like that. But we'll get to obviously for our driver of the day. And Red Bull and Max Verstappen in particular have to have a shout. They need to be called out here because that team looks a different beast yet again. I mean, that RB20. They have yet again, I mean, Adrian Newey and co have constructed another rocket ship of a car, man, again.
Bro, that Red Bull is on steroids. And I reckon this year is going to be worse than last season.
You believe it's going to be a clean sweep?
I believe that.
God forbid that happens.
I believe that. I honestly believe that
happens because for me, it's going to. If that happens,
look at the times. For example, in quali. Look at the times in quali. Yeah, last season, Leclerc maybe just 2 races in Jeddah with Alonso. Yeah, Alonso, he was there or thereabouts with Red Bull and almost snatching pole in Jeddah of Sergio Perez. This year, not even close. Verstappen was 3 tenths faster than Leclerc.
And you look at the rest of the grid, they look fucking fed up, man. I mean, specifically Leclerc. You see his press conference, his post
I
match
didn't see it.
interview.
Honestly, I didn't see it.
He looks,
Honestly, I
he
didn't
looks
see it.
tired, man. He looks tired, and he looks like literally he was like, bro, I don't give a rat's ass what's going on because my brothers at Red Bull are literally shutting up shop this early on in the season, basically.
Practically. Listen,
They
at
look
least we got.
unstoppable, man.
Yeah, but listen, it's their era. It is their time.
Yeah.
As shitty as that is, we had the Schumacher era, the Hamilton era. Now we have the Verstappen era. The difference is that with the Max era, unlike the Hamilton or more so the Schumacher era, there's not much competition for Max Verstappen. The only competition he has, if it is competition, is Sergio Perez, his teammate.
Yeah.
But not really competition. Because all they have to do is tell Checo, listen, back off of Verstappen, and done.
And speaking of Checo, another strong weekend for him. I mean, second, I think he'll get a race win this year. I mean, God forbid Max wins every single race, but I mean, Checo will probably get a race win this season. Listen, for him, I said in the previous episode, this is a make or break season for Checo at Red Bull because obviously Ricardo wants that seat, one of them. So this is, for me, for Checo, this is the start he needed for this season.
Absolutely.
And two runner-up places.
Absolutely.
It was decent for him. Another strong race. And even just to snatch the runners up spot from Leclerc, solid race for him. And listen, I mean, both of us said that we want to see some competition, but right now, yes, we're 2 races in, yes, we're still early on, but it looks like it's going to be same old again, man. This season, and probably even,
it looks damn boy.
It looks like that until the new regulations come into place. It's going to be same old, unfortunately. Yep. And
I'm expecting the same. I'm already expecting the same next year.
Even in these couple of races as well.
Let alone the next races. I'm already expecting the same next year. Let alone the upcoming races for this season.
We can't predict what the future will unfold. I mean,
always.
I mean, because right now there's a lot of chaos of the track with that team, which we're gonna talk about that very, very soon. But it's alarming. It's very, very alarming, and someone needs to pull off an almighty miracle from the Rabbits' hand, basically, because their rivals are looking very, very silly. They're looking very, very silly, man. They can't get even close to their level right now.
Half the grid done copied Red Bull's car for Red Bull to pull off an Uno reverse card.
Yeah. It looks like, and I get back to that point that of Max liking every single component of that car, because when I saw that statement, I was like, "Fuck's sake, man!
Yeah,
this might be worse. This might be worse than last season." But anyway, we're 2 races in, still a long way to go. But how things are playing out right now, it's going that direction easily.
Yeah.
Maybe looking for other contenders for driver of the day, but for me, bro, I think we're both in agreement here that Oliver Bearman is our driver of the day. He got the driver of the day in general in the race, but he's also our driver of the day. Listen, this guy, 18 years old, completely fresh into the Formula One scene, his full debut. He fucking smashed it, man. I mean,
in a Ferrari P7,
a 7th place finish, holding off the likes of Lando Norris and
who was on fresher tires on softs,
and a 7-time world champion with Lewis Hamilton on fresher tires. Unbelievable performance from him, man.
Absolutely.
And his life,
and I think that tells you a lot. I think that tells you a lot on where the car is.
Yeah, absolutely.
The car, for me, ignore Red Bull for a minute. For me, if a rookie can come in, have 1 hour of practice, finish P11 in quali, and finishes P7 in the race in the points, that to me tells me that the car is in a good place.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what tells me.
And listen, his life it has completely changed now, because he's in Formula 2, but he's not going to be there for long, because I think one of the teams are going to give him a seat. I believe that now obviously nothing confirmed. I believe that he is going to end up at Williams because if Logan Sargent continues to underperform and continuing to fuck up to get in that back in that lower back of the grid, I won't be too surprised if James Vowles calls him up and basically gives him a contract, because a 7th place finish for a complete rookie, for a stand-in driver, more of. He for me, remember the name because he's going to be in that grid in the future. Probably Sainz is going to be in Australia unless, listen, we don't wish the worst for Sainz, but probably he will be racing in Melbourne. But what a performance, man! Driver of the day without a doubt. I mean, he got like a 40% of the votes for driver,
and he would listen. He was getting better and better with every lap.
Yes, I mean,
he was getting better and better with every lap
because of what was happening. But he got better, man.
Yeah.
Super driver. I mean,
and also of all tracks, Jeddah of all tracks.
Jeddah is not an easy track, man. We all know how that track is. It's not an easy track at all.
Exactly. So to do all that in Jeddah, one of the worst tracks.
And listen, yeah, chapeau, man. I mean, he deserves a round of applause. And listen, his dad was watching him from the pit lane. He must be a really, really proud father. And also you, man. I mean, you're obviously a Ferrari fan. You must be really proud of him, man. I mean, you must be really, really happy.
Very proud. I mean, super proud. Very happy. I didn't expect much from him. I absolutely didn't expect much. I didn't expect anything from him. I just wanted him to go out there and have fun. For him to make it to Q2 and then finish P7 in the race. Amazing.
I've had discussions with many of my Ferrari friends, and they were so impressed with him, man. I mean, even how
absolutely
he got the strategy spot on, absolutely spot on, for his age. Long may it continue. Let's hope this is not the last time we've seen from him. Because we've had a habit of young drivers just getting a chance, and that was the end of it, basically. So,
but also we don't want it. If he gets the seat, we don't want another Nick De Vries.
Yeah, let's hope that. But listen, a bit too early on that.
Of course.
And you're not going to agree with me on this, bro, because we've talked about this yesterday after the race.
Yeah.
But a contender for driver of the day as well. Obviously, he's not going to be my pick, but Kevin Magnussen deserves a shout out as well, because yes, he got the penalties, but to basically give helping his teammate Nico Hülkenberg getting a point, basically he had to basically pull off a defensive masterclass with the back of the grid, with the likes of Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon, Danny Rick, Bottas as well, Ocon. He was defending his fucking life for his teammate, and that ended basically Nico Hülkenberg getting a point for Haas. I mean, for Haas, 1 point. Yes, obviously 1 point isn't to write home about, but for
listen, at this point, for that Haas team, a point is basically a win to them.
Yeah, it is a win. But listen, we can't get too carried away with Haas, because last season they've had an even stronger start, and look where they ended up towards the rest of the season. So this Haas have surprised me. That absolutely surprised me. For me, they are yet again. They, for me, take the crown for the surprise of the day, easily.
Even me.
This team even me. Be at the back of the grid. Even yourself as well. They were going to be at the back of the grid. So well done to Haas. Let's hope it's
long may it continue.
Long may it continue. And Ayao Kamatsu.
Shout out to Ayao Kamatsu as well. Shout out to Ayao Kamatsu, man.
All right. Now we're going to the loser of the day. Now you've already mentioned it, bro. Your loser of the day is Lance Stroll. But to get into our contenders for loser of the day, Lance Stroll obviously has to be in that list to basically crash on the same section.
I didn't even last 10 laps. Hey, but at least he bought out a safety car.
Yeah, exactly. One of the losers of the day.
At least he bought out a safety
Gasly
car.
Has to be in that contention without no fault of his own, we have to say. But yeah, he has to be in that loser of the day.
I think that's harsh, man. I think that's harsh.
Yeah, it is harsh, but listen, I mean...
Oh, that's harsh. Nah, man, it's not his fault.
He's
It's
not
not
my,
his
he's not my,
fault
he's
though,
not my
Jan,
pick.
bro.
He is in my pick. He is in my pick, bro. He is in my
Okay,
pick.
okay, but the fact that you mentioned him,
You mentioned it.
the fact that you even mentioned him, bro.
Yeah, listen, I've mentioned it. 100%. Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
No,
super
no.
hard. I think that's harsh.
You may think that, but anyways,
My opinion.
Danny Ricciardo has to be in that category. Listen, I mean this. Listen, he wants that Red Bull seat come the end of 2024, and so far he has showed very very little, very very little. He had a really terrible race.
Very little reason.
He not only was outperformed by his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, but he also was languishing in the back of the grid, and he literally did. He made
Yeah.
absolutely no progress whatsoever. So if he wants that Red Bull seat, time is running out fast for him, bro. What do you think? I mean, he's 34
Yeah,
now.
absolutely agree with that.
And
Absolutely agree with that. I think Yuki Tsunoda is gonna have a better season than him.
how with the way things are going so far, absolutely.
I think this is a make or break year, not only for Danny Rick but also for Yuki.
Yes.
Because I don't
But-
reckon that Yuki. Listen. Every driver that goes to AlphaTauri, Red Bull, RB, Toro Rosso, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
every driver that goes there, they go there with one thing in mind: to get a seat at Red Bull.
Yeah, 100%. Agree.
That's the only reason they go there.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Yuki, he wants the Red Bull seat. Both of them have a point to prove, but I think Yuki is more of a make or break for him. Because I reckon
Yeah.
that
definitely.
come at least 2026, Yuki might leave RB. He doesn't have to go to Red Bull.
I won't be too surprised about that.
He doesn't
I
have
won't
to
be
go
too
to
surprised
Red Bull,
about that.
but he
But
won't
listen,
stick
on-
with RB. He would do a Gasly.
Yeah, definitely. But listen, let's go back on Danny Rick. But listen, 34 years old. If he really wants that seat, he needs to start picking up the pace, man. Because so far,
definitely.
first two races, completely off it. Both races outperformed by his teammate, and time is running out fast for him. Time is running out.
Is it the car? Is it maybe?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I don't know,
just
bro.
two races in. Is it just? Maybe it's just two races for him, but maybe he needs to make some tweaks within the car to suit his style a bit more. Maybe.
I think he's still in that McLaren voodoo, in my opinion. I think he's still in that phase. I don't know.
When he returned last season after he broke his hand, he finished P7 in Mexico, I believe.
Yeah. Listen, but
That was a solid race.
he
But
needs to pick it up, bro. He needs to pick
no
it up.
doubt,
Because
100% agree. Maybe he needs to
that-
find
that-
those
that last
tiny
Jeddah
tweak
for him-
adjustments within the car. Maybe.
Yeah, tweaks. Yes, agree. So Danny Rick has to be in that discussion. Now, my pick is going to be a team, but before I get to my pick for loser of the day, Sauber have to be in that mix as well. I mean, they finished literally at the back of the grid, finishing 17th and 18th. Again, don't be too harsh now, but they have just as of a bad car as Alpine, in my opinion.
Yeah. But at least with Kick Sauber, they just can't wait for Audi. They can't wait for that Audi takeover. Which by the way, Audi have reaffirmed that they are fully committed to the takeover.
Yeah, 100% admitted actually.
Exactly. For Kick Sauber, they don't care. They just want 2026 to arrive as fast as possible. Alpine, on the other hand, that's a totally different story.
Yeah. Absolutely. And listen, and I think both Bottas and Zhou Guanyu, they are a bit in danger of losing their seats. Specifically Zhou Guanyu. I mean, he third season in F1, not making any progress whatsoever. There is a high probability that he will lose his seat come 2026, even 2025 as well.
I think by 2026, Audi will look for different suitors.
Yeah.
Will look for different drivers in 2026. Bottas might, but Guan Yu Zhou, I don't think it's looking good for Guan Yu Zhou. But if the car is not good, there's so much a driver can do. If you don't have the tools, there's so much you can do.
And listen, Bottas is in that same discussion as well. I mean, because it's very similar to Ricciardo, he doesn't have much time left, in my opinion. In my opinion, and listen, I mean, it's a bit sad for him because
Very sad.
going
Very
for
sad
Williams and then going on a high with Mercedes being Hamilton's teammate, and now basically being pretty much the second or maybe the worst team in the entire grid.
But Bottas is certainly more comfortable. He'd much rather be with Sauber than with Mercedes, being
definitely.
Hamilton's number 2.
Yeah,
no
definitely.
doubt about it.
And Alpine again, they have to be in that loser of the category. Listen, it wasn't as bad as it was in Bahrain, but no points again.
Exactly.
Gasly
Ocon at least finished P13.
Yeah, at least.
At
But
least.
again, major problems for Alpine. That's not going to be a quick fix for the team.
Absolutely.
And with another with a DNF to add insult to injury. No, terrible so far from Alpine. But for me, yes, they finished in the points. But Mercedes are my pick for the losers of the day, because yes, Hamilton pulled off a defensive masterclass against Oscar Piastri with his compound tires, but 7th and 8th for a team.
He had a good tactic up against Piastri. He had a very good tactic.
Fair enough, he had a good tactic, but listen, 7th and 8th place for them, for a team that has won 8 constructor titles, for a team that early on, before the start of the season, they were saying that this car is going to be different. There's going to be a complete revolution of the W14, and that every component has been upgraded. Yada yada yada. Even with Russell and Hamilton saying that they feel that the car has improved from last season.
Improved.
Not seeing it. In fact, not just that. It looks worse than last season.
It's downgraded.
It feels like, yes, only 2 races in so far, but that car looks worse. It looks worse because
Hamilton right now must be going, bro, I can't wait for next year.
He can't be ours, man, because listen,
he can't wait. I can't wait for next year to sit in that Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's what he's probably saying right now.
Bro can't be ours right now because he literally is. Listen, final season for me, I'm just gonna go through the motions and see this one out.
Yeah.
And because so far, in pretty much at the end of the top 10, he has finished. I mean, this race he finished in 8th, an 8th place finish with this. Not 8th place, 9th place.
He finished 9th.
A 9th place finish. Not good for me. I'm not pleased with Mercedes so far. Maybe I am a bit too harsh on them, but for them, I've expected them to be challenging Ferrari, in my opinion. Right now, both Ferrari, Red Bull, and even McLaren, and in some extent the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso, look better than the Mercedes at the moment. Do you agree?
I do agree.
So
but
disappointing, man.
I'm gonna say something. I won't include Red Bull because they're in a different league.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
I'm not gonna include Red Bull.
Yeah,
I'm not
fair
gonna
enough, I
include
guess.
Red Bull.
But for me, Mercedes, they have to do so much better than that, especially George Russell, because if George Russell wants to be in that, he wants to be the main driver. Yeah.
But so far, he finished better in both races, George Russell, no?
But 7th place isn't good enough for him. I want to see him in that top 5 mix. The minimum top 5 minimum. Maybe I'm expecting, but 7th and 8th for Mercedes isn't good enough. They have a lot of work to do. The good news is, it's still early on, and Hamilton, for the most part, he pulled off a defensive masterclass for pretty much more than 50% of the race, but not good enough. For that caliber of the team, I expect so much more for them. So for me, they are my pick for the losers of the day category.
Who knows? Maybe if Max Verstappen joins Mercedes.
Yeah.
If Max Verstappen joins Mercedes, he might change their fortunes around.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get that now. So, guys, pretty much those are our rankings. The standings go something like this. Red Bull first and second, Max and Checo. Leclerc third, Oscar Piastri a 4th place finish, solid result for him, regardless of how his race went. A 4th place finish, a really strong result for him. Gonna very quick talk about McLaren, but for McLaren, a good solid race. Lando a bit. If he he made his pit stop in that safety car period, he would be definitely in that top five
Lando was
race.
compromised.
But he
Lando
was
got himself
but he was
compromised.
compromised. Yes, that for me costed him, in my opinion, and he got an 8th place finish. But for Oscar Piastri, strong results, a strong 4th place, and so far so good for McLaren.
Yes.
So far so good. A 3rd place finish. 4th place finish.
Fourth.
Fernando Alonso capping off a strong weekend for him, a 5th place finish. He would be a little bit disappointed that he wasn't in that podium places this regard because of his qualifying pace and his practice pace. But a 5th place finish is a solid result for Fernando. George Russell's 6th, disappointing for him. Our driver of the day, Oliver Bearman, a 7th place finish, a superb performance. Really, really hope that this isn't the last time we've seen from Ollie, and we really, really hope. We wish him the best from both of us, and hope he gets a seat in Formula One in the not too distant future. Lando Norris 8, Hamilton a really, really underwhelming 9th place, and Nico Hülkenberg getting the final point for Haas, their first point for Haas, and caps off for me the surprise package of this weekend. Elsewhere, Albon in 11th, Madison 12th, Ocon 13th, Sargent 14th, Yuki Tsunoda and the Racing Bulls in 15th and 16th with Yuki and Danny Rick. The two Saubers in 17 and 18 with Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. And ending up the field, Lance Stroll in 19th and Pierre Gasly 20th, the first two DNFs of the season. Our driver standings, obviously not much with just with the first races going on, but now Verstappen is in the lead with 51 points, followed by Checo with 36, Leclerc 3rd, Russell 4th, Piastri in 5th, Sainz 6th, Alonso 7th, Lando 8th, Hamilton in 9th, and Oliver Bearman, probably his only points tally for the season, in 10th with 6 points. I mean, getting points in Formula 1 and nada in Formula 2, that's quite crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's quite crazy.
Shout out Ollie, man. Shout out Ollie.
In the constructors, not much has changed. Red Bull leading the pack, followed by Ferrari, and now McLaren getting that 3rd place over Mercedes, and then Aston Martin
by just
getting
2 points.
5th. Yeah, by just 2 points. Haas now have got a point, pulling them up into 6th, and pretty much the rest of the grid with Alpine, Williams, Sauber, and Racing Bulls, no points so far. And that pretty much is our recap of the Jeddah Grand Prix, guys. One last thing before we wrap up today's episode: Red Bull might be dominating the track on track, but off the track, Jesus Christ, there is so much chaos going on, bro.
Circus,
do you want to basically give us a summary of what's happening right now?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is the person who opened the investigation for Christian Horner got suspended.
Yes.
Got suspended. So all that investigation, all that accusations, whatever, and then she got suspended, but I assume it's a she. I think it's a she.
Yeah.
She got suspended.
It's a female employee.
She got suspended after her case was dismissed. Jos Verstappen and Christian Horner have an altercation. Jos Verstappen is Max Verstappen's father.
And listen, sorry to interrupt you here, but I said that this whole allegation saga wasn't going to end there. This was going to keep dragging on. And we're seeing it right in front of our own eyes, basically.
And apparently now, it is a high possibility that Christian Horner might be let go from Red Bull.
Yeah, now, obviously, guys, this isn't 100% confirmed yet, but...
This is just rumors.
Bro, if that happens, there will be chaos.
No doubt.
It would make the championship more exciting. That's
at least. Sure. Hopefully. I mean, the more the merrier. Hopefully.
Now, Horner denied that he has a decent relationship with both Jos Verstappen and now also Helmut Marko, because Helmut Marko is also under investigation. And Jos said that if Horner stays, Max has threatened them that he will leave the team by mutual consent. And that would open the floodgates on the transfer market, man. Because you've just said it now, Max might head to Mercedes to get that seat from Hamilton. That would be nuts.
That would be nuts. That would be crazy.
And it's not just him. I mean, Max right now is the front runner, but during the past weekend as well in Jeddah, Sainz got out of hospital and completed surgery. But he was also not just in the Ferrari camp, but he was also photographed at the Mercedes camp alongside his father, Carlos Sainz Sr. So who knows? Might see Carlos in that Mercedes seat. He's apparently we all assumed he was going to Audi, but now it looks like he's heading to. It looks like now that the Mercedes move. Don't rule that one out. Don't rule that one out.
A lot going on. A lot going on. And
Yeah.
listen, at least off track, things are exciting.
Yeah, so-
Not like on track.
Because for me,
At least.
for me, the off track drama is more interesting. Is actually more intriguing than the racing.
Even
itself.
Alonso said that. Even Alonso said that. No, didn't
It's
he?
nuts.
Even Alonso said that. So
I mean, for a sport about high stakes speed and that shit like that, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, a city season has well and truly started before the season got underway, basically.
from
So,
February.
in January, not in
in
February.
January,
In January. In January, I would say. But yeah, to wrap things off on this news will keep on dragging on and on and on until we get to a conclusion, in my opinion.
And listen, rumors in Formula One are not like football rumors. They don't come from nothing.
But you have to take them with a pinch of salt as well, bro.
Of course. You can't take it
Be important as
literally.
well.
But Verstappen in a Mercedes,
would be a setback.
at this moment in time, in this moment in time, it would make no sense because Red Bull is certainly the more dominant car. But with
Yeah.
all the chaos that's going on, shout out to Hamilton because he kickstarted all of this with him announcing his move to Ferrari for next
Yeah.
year. He kickstarted
Exactly.
all of this. So shout out to Lewis.
Credit to him as well, man. Your credit to him.
GG's, bro.
Yeah.
And there was no drama.
Yeah.
It was like,
But-
listen, thank you guys, thank you to Mercedes, but from next year I'm a dip. I'm going to
Yeah.
Ferrari.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the focus now, because if Red Bull just keep on winning races, the focus is going to be on next year, surely.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think the focus is already on next year.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the focus is already on next year.
Yeah, listen, I mean, there's still 22 more races left, so we have a couple. We need to obviously see what the season was, how the season will keep on unfolding.
And a lot more is going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. This is the last time we're gonna hear about this, guys.
The more the merrier. The more the
Yeah.
merrier.
Listen, bring it on. I want more of this stuff, man, because
Can't complain.
at least it's one of the very few saving graces of the season, because at least the off-track drama, it's looking promising, I would say.
They should I think in the near future Formula One should be on E Entertainment.
Yeah, remove the Kardashians, man. Get more of this stuff, man. Get more of this off-track drama, man. We want it. Fuck Drive to Survive, man. This is what I mean. What? Speaking of Drive to Survive, I mean the Netflix right now, they are writing shit up about this.
They probably have two full skeps of 200 pages already written
They
up.
can't believe their eyes, man. I mean, Netflix are the very few winners here right now, because they have plenty to write about regarding how the season is going on, with what's happening on track and even what's happening off the track as well. But anyways, anything to add, bro? I think that's it. Yeah.
Nothing more to add, really.
Yeah.
I think we're done for
Yes,
today.
people. Yeah, guys. So that is it. That is the end of this episode, guys. Thank you so much for those who tuned in. It means a lot to us, guys. Our next episode is not going to be next week, because we don't have any race. We know we have no races next week, but in 2 weeks' time, where we will be heading downtown in
Down under
under
in Australia.
in Melbourne, Australia. Personally, one of my favorite tracks.
Same.
It's been on the calendar for quite some time, and listen, we're expecting probably a really solid race. Hope we don't have another religious procession or processione in Maltese, by the way.
Which we're gonna have.
Because, by the
Which
way,
we're
we're both
gonna
from
have.
Malta, guys, and I've said this in the previous episode, that we have a lot of races that are called processioniet, in English it's called procession. So let's hope that Australia isn't a procession. And for us, because since we're both in Malta, it's an early wake-up call for us, because both qualifying and races are, I believe, in 7 a.m. So we need to really, really wake
6,
up.
7 a.m.
Yeah,
in the morning.
something in those times. So yeah. All right, guys, that's it. See you in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be talking about the Australian Grand Prix, and from here on and from there, This is goodbye, and hope you have a great week.
Thank you very
Sees.
much, guys. Take care. Stay safe always. One love.
Goodbye and good night.